I'm going to talk to you guys today about single leg pedaling drills. They're something that you'll start seeing in your training plans now, and they'll continue throughout the season just as a reinforcement of your form. They're a great way to tell if you have any imbalances between one leg or the other, or if you have any major inefficiencies in your pedal stroke. If you've never done single leg pedaling drills before, they can be really daunting at first, and I've already heard that from some of you. So I want to go through some basics of how to do them and maybe try to talk to you about some ways that will make them a little bit easier. So the first aspect of single leg pedaling drills is making sure that you're sitting on the saddle correctly. You want to make sure that you feel like you're sitting on the saddle just as you would when you're riding. Many people, when they start to do this, they'll shift way too far forward, and then they lose the connection between their sits bones and their saddle. So you want to make sure that your core is engaged, your upper body stays relaxed, and you feel nice and planted on your saddle. Next, clip one leg out. I like to just hook it on the back skewer of my trainer. Make sure that your leg doesn't come too close to the wheel so that you don't get your ankle caught in the spokes. And then from there, you're just going to start pedaling with one leg. Now, you may need to adjust the tension on your trainer a little bit if you're using a fluid trainer or a magnet trainer. Or if you're using a compu trainer, maybe adjust the grade just a little bit if you're on a flat course. And having a little bit of tension on the flywheel will help to make these a little bit smoother. If you don't have enough tension, that can cause some of that out of control feeling. So a single leg pedaling drill looks just like this. And I'm pedaling nice and smooth, but that's because I've been doing these for years and years and years. What often happens when people start to do this, especially at first, they start to create a dead spot in their pedal stroke, as you can kind of see, and you can kind of hear it. That's what I mean when I'm talking about chunking, okay? And that'll happen pretty early on if you first start doing this, so a lot of times like 10 seconds in. Let's talk about why that tends to happen and what we can do maybe to prevent it. So many people make the mistake with this drill, and in cycling in particular, of pedaling in too much of an elliptical type shape, okay? More of an up and down, oblong oval, versus more of a circular motion. And when you do that single leg pedaling, starting a really hard pull from the bottom and a really hard push from the top, it creates that pause in the stroke. So I'll show you what that looks like. Okay, I'm really exaggerating, but I'm pulling at the bottom and I'm pushing over at the top. Versus, if you think about your pedal stroke as a clock, okay, over here, halfway between the top and the bottom, is your 3 o'clock position, and around here on the back is your 9 o'clock position. So as you're coming around, you really want to feel that pull position right around the 9 o'clock position, and then let your leg just float up and over the top, and then start to press in that 3 o'clock position. So this motion of up and over is more of an unweighting of your leg versus a forceful pulling up and over. So watch how that makes things much smoother when I think about it that way. Now I'm kind of pulling and I'm floating and I'm pushing. Pulling, floating, and pushing. Okay, so just like that. Again, adding a little more tension or slowing your cadence down or up a little bit can help with this. If you're new to this, make sure you start out and do them for just as long as you can before that chunking starts to happen, and then stop and switch legs. Okay, and when I switch, I'll just pedal with both legs for a couple seconds. Oops, didn't get that foot in. I'll pedal with both legs for a couple seconds, and then I'll click out the other leg and I'll go on to the other side. Okay, and I've got to, takes maybe a couple strokes to settle in and get smooth with the other side. But those are some basics of single leg pedaling. I hope that helps some of you guys that are finding them a little bit more challenging, and we can talk about it on an individual basis if this is still something that is daunting for you. Thanks.